Now, this is a little bit weird regarding the economy, right? So with COVID and this whole bit and the way the economy is doing its thing, this one is kind of hits me hard a little bit, because these are what's happening in different places. Let's read just a little bit of this. Okay, so this is from phnews.yahoo.com, and so December 27th, brand new. Gig economy workers say they can no longer survive, right? All right, so here's a few, right? Whether in Paris, Kuala Lumpur, or California, gig economy workers fear they can no longer survive on meager earnings from jobs that leave them increasingly vulnerable. Now, the term gig stretches back a century to jazz musicians, blah, blah. So anyway, but it now involves millions of jobs under that term, from Uber drivers to Deliveroo delivery teams. So let's see. This one individual, Wissam Inal, does more than 700 kilometers, 450 miles a week on his scooter, delivering up to 10 takeout meals in the Paris suburbs every evening. He says, quote, at the moment, with the lockdown, I end up with 500 euros, or about $600 a month net. Said the 32-year-old, who has driven for Deliveroo since 2017, but also takes jobs for Uber Eats and Stuart. Inal has trouble seeing the good side of his job at the moment and criticizes calculations by Deliveroo's algorithm that decide how much to offer him for jobs. Quote, a delivery that's worth €6 at noon is worth just €3 in the evening. You can't earn a living with this job unless you're willing to live like a slave, right? So I think many of us are familiar with this whatever's happening here, because it's not just in this place. There's a few other ones in here. Let's read a couple of these other ones. Let's see. He recently joined an association of gig delivery drivers that seeks to improve working conditions. Quote, we should be able to defend ourselves, he maintains. So let's see. Here's another one. When Eric Meghetto began driving Lyft for 3 years, he said, I just loved it. Eric, her grown son had left the house, and she thought it would be a great move until she found a job in bookkeeping or property management, driving for Lyft, right? And many of us have done these jobs. This is kind of where we're headed, right? The gig economy, they call it. So you don't have to pay for health benefits for workers, right? Everything's based on, it's like the on-demand type of situation. Everybody knows. Everybody's had delivery or performed deliveries themselves, or knows somebody who's done this. Okay, so anyway, I really enjoyed choosing my own hours, she told AFP. I thought life was good. She lives in Sacramento, but would drive more than an hour to the San Francisco area on weekends because there was more work in the richer towns. She slept in her car or shelled out $25 for a room. Meghetto was pulling in $60 to $80 an hour before expenses in 2017, but a series of rate cuts caused that to fall to $20 at the beginning of the year and to less than $10 in March. Now, don't you think that just commentary here, when COVID happens and suddenly there's lockdowns and deliveries are happening, don't you think that the demand for deliveries would go up and the pay would at least remain somewhat stable? Well, it appears that's not the case, right? It appears that these algorithms, these companies have decided that, okay, well, since this is a necessary thing and people are now forced into doing this, we have a plethora of workers, and we can just tighten the wrenches, tighten down the money that we're giving to these people based on the algorithmic control of how do we make the most money. And so of course then they're already cutting corners with like I said, not really paying a benefits, which for something like this, the advantage was you could make a little bit more than an hourly job, but they didn't give you benefits, right? So now they have these folks that are stuck in this. We have this COVID lockdown situation. People are running groceries and food from takeout back and forth all over the damn place. And instead of the rate staying steady or going up even as demand increases, these companies see fit to ratchet it down and start taking money away on a per job basis. Of course, right? They see it as an opportunity to pad their coffers, right? I mean, again, like this is the type of stuff that right, humanity. It's just it's gross. It's where we live. It's again, and this is why this is the argument against capitalism, and I get it. Okay, like you can't just have these huge companies crank an algorithm and say, all right, well, people will work for $6 an hour, so make them. But the reason people work for $6 an hour is because they're fucking starving. That's why they do it. There would be no other reason, right? There's no reason. If you're not starving, you ain't working for $6 an hour. That's it. So anyway, from $60 to $80 an hour to $10 in March. And March is when they started closing things down, right? So she says, so it knows me personally, the algorithms. She says she finds the algorithms opaque and pernicious. So the algorithm knows me personally, she said, and the bonus offers were changed, based on what I was willing to accept. If friends were getting bonus offers of $50 for doing 20 rides per week, the algorithm would offer her $350, but for 120 rides a week. So you see what's happening. Once they get people locked into this and they've kind of burned through their bonuses, they lower their pay essentially. They don't give them anything else. There's no incentive to continue paying them because they want more people in. So they're paying the new people bonuses to bring them in, and then lowering the pay of the folks that have been there for a while. Right? I mean, this is sick. This is not good. We're going to continue to talk about this in just a sec, but. So Axel, what's up, says, none of these companies even make a profit. Uber, Lyft is just a place to put investor money. And that's true. So I was going to point that out. So as a result of why these things are happening, and like I said, they've seized the moment to actually try and become profitable, or at least make up some of the red ink that they've just strewn all over the place. Because many people know that Uber in and of itself and these companies are supposedly running at a loss because they're waiting for the day when self-driving cars are supposed to come save the day, right? So they're going to show up, and then they're going to be able to cut out the pay to the workforce, and then be able to just have this fleet of cars that kind of does the deliveries on their own. Like that's at least that's the big lie, right? But yeah, so they're just a place to put investor money, and I think that's a good way to put it. Until what, though, right? I think to what end? So anyway, let's look at a quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll keep talking about this. Are you digging the show? If so, you can support us quite easily and at no additional cost to you if you already have an Amazon Prime account. Since we stream on Twitch every day, all you have to do is link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and they give you free games on a monthly basis for your personal use, and also a bonus $5 a month to send to your favorite streamer as a way to bring more people to Twitch. And all you have to do is sync up the two accounts and click subscribe. Thanks for considering us. Okay, so continue talking about this now. So it's not just that, right? So again, there's a little bit of weirdness with this gig economy stuff, and again, the problem with, like, I get I'm a capitalist, and I believe it can work. Okay, I believe the free market can do a lot of really good things, but the issue here is, with that said, like every other system, once you get a corrupt government involved that picks and chooses winners and losers, then you have a huge problem. They're not supposed to step in and do these things. They're not supposed to allow things like this to happen, where they're like, okay, well, we're going to just take advantage of this situation like everybody else is, the COVID situation, and start squishing people and making, forcing them into $6 or $8 or $10 an hour, before expenses. I mean, you don't make any money doing that. It's almost like you just get in the food line, right? You get in the bread line. That's the thing. So anyway, so this is what's happening. Gig economy workers say they can no longer survive. And there's more. So this is exactly what's going on. So here's another one. This is from ARS Technica, and it's in the exact same vein here, just as an addition to what we were just talking about. Now, Grubhub gig workers react angrily to change in tipping policy. All right. So now default tip amount slashed following introduction of California's new employment rules. So if many people don't know, California just actually changed their gig worker rules because they thought these people were being taken advantage of. Right. But again, let's just read some of this. California-based workers for food delivery app Grubhub have reacted angrily to changes to the platform, which they say discourage tipping, saying they would wipe out the supposed benefits of new gig worker rules in the state. Last month, California passed Proposition 22, which, though falling far short of the benefits received by full-time employees, gave gig workers a limited number. Weeks after the ruling, Grubhub reduced its default tip amount from 20% to 0, adding a suggestion to leave an optional tip on top of driver benefits. Like other apps, Grubhub added an additional benefit fee, in this case $1.50, to each order in California, though that money is put into a centralized pot for which only a limited number of drivers are expected to fully qualify. Quote, the benefits are not nearly high enough to compensate for encouraging no tipping, wrote one Grubhub worker on Reddit. Quote, such bullshit to drive this wedge between customers and drivers, wrote another. A third added, this is chilling. Really disappointing. So under Proposition 22, which is a California thing again, workers receive a healthcare stipend, provided they clock at least an average of 15 hours per week on one of the gig apps. However, in order to qualify, workers must already be the primary policyholder of an existing healthcare plan. Again, right? So healthcare is a disaster. They try and force these gig companies to offer some sort of healthcare. There were actually blogs. Like I read I'm an A's fan. I'm from California. I read an athletics blog, and they had workers on there that they had to actually trim out because of this California law, because they weren't allowed to pay them like on a per article basis anymore, because they had to somehow wrap into that health care of some sort, right? Which seems absurd, right? If you're like, let's say you're writing articles for a blog on a part-time basis, right? And then, it's literally just a hobby thing for you. And you get paid beer money, It's not really a thing. Like, some jobs shouldn't be expected to, provide health care, So as a result, what happened is they had to literally cut just an entire huge portion of their staff based on this California law. The blog, of course, is situated in California. And you see, right, like, government can't get shit right. They can't get a damn thing right because they try and blast out this stuff, not realizing that everything is very intricate, apples and oranges, and they try and just make one blanket law to make this happen, and as a result, nothing works. Nothing works. And again, right, the more legislation you try and throw out over apples and oranges, the more rotten fruit you get.